Hi there, very warm welcome to everyone who is watching my channel right now. I'm so happy to see you, and just as usual, just for a while and for fun. I hope that you all are doing great and simply enjoyed a wonderful match, which was like one of the greatest matches that I have simply witnessed. Comparing it with all the other matches that I've seen so far, the big matches of the big giants like Djokovic clashing with Nadal, Djokovic clashing with Federer fighting with Nadal and Murray, and so on and so forth with all the other big players. So this was, I will simply compare it to be an equal match when we talk about this big competition that was held between Medvedev and Nadal. So you guys, if you simply have watched my previous video, you will simply remember all the things that I was mentioning regarding Danny Medvedev, that don't simply consider it to be a very simple guy who's going to simply give up and simply lose the game quite quickly, because that wasn't the case. The case was totally the opposite. He turned out to be a strong player. He turned out to be the most dominant player most of the times during the match. You probably would have noticed that during the first set as well as the second one, he was able to find his way out to return back into the game, taking the second set to the tiebreak also, and that tiebreak was also quite competitive, and the manner in which he simply finished the second set tiebreak was also very interesting, when he simply won the match, or I would say won the second set through a double-handed backhand towards the down the line straight. If you remember, I mentioned the same thing, that is how his double-handed backhand turned out to be quite lethal. We can't simply consider it to be his weakness. That isn't the case. Just the way his forehand is strong, in a similar way his double-handed backhand is very strong. He can simply hit it straight as well as cross-court. And that was something that was making Nadal run for each and every point. I'm not saying that Nadal hasn't done anything, but if we talk about the first two sets, so in those first two sets, he looked quite surprised because he was unable to figure out what is happening. I'm not saying as though he wasn't trying, he wasn't giving his best. He certainly was, but Danny Medvedev turned out to be a better player, especially in the first two sets. But as I mentioned in the last video, as I told you guys, that both guys know the significance of this match. On one hand, Danny Medvedev is going to be world number one after winning the championship. On the other side, Nadal is going to simply become, or the others would simply call him as the greatest player of all times, by simply winning the 21st Grand Slam single title, because now he's going to simply surpass, or now I would say that he has simply surpassed Federer and Djokovic. So that was the scenario, and that is why both the players were simply giving their best shot, and we simply enjoyed the game. One of my wild guess was that it wasn't be the case that the match is simply going to end up in 3 sets or 4 sets. It would be a best of 5, and it turned out to be a best of 5 match, and quite interesting, even went or surpassed 5 hours. So just imagine what simply happens even if I play singles or doubles, but if I play 2 or 3 sets in my own game, in my slow pace, I get tired. I do not have the stamina or endurance of these professional players, because they train a lot, they have their own diet, they have their own routine, swimming, gym, diet, and many other things that they do, of course, to maintain their hygiene, physique, strength. But still, if we talk about like playing for 5 hours, that's like really hell that is happening inside your body, but still being consistent, was quite surprising, and especially for a person who is 35 years old. That was the reason during that trophy distribution ceremony when Danny Medvedev asked Nadal, when they both were standing beside one another, that like, are you feeling tired at all or not? Because that was like a surprise for him also. Like, how can Nadal simply stand like this? But later on, he simply showed that he really was tired when, he simply called someone to bring a chair so that he can sit. Because after all, like, a person is 35, but that doesn't mean as that they're going to be as young and strong as someone who is in his 20s. But still, bringing everything that they have got was something quite surprising, and we really enjoyed it. big salute to the Spaniard and a well-deserving win. He really simply showed that he is the best player of all times. He played surprising shots with experience. He knew when to make Medvedev run towards the net, because first he would simply force Danny Medvedev to go behind the baseline at such a distance so that it would take him some time to return back to the net in case Nadal simply thinks of playing a drop shot. And that was the moment where he simply came up with playing a drop shot. If you remember, you could have seen the highlights. So he simply won a set or some important games by making Danny Medvedev run behind the baseline, and then all of a sudden he would simply play a drop shot, and that was such a strong drop shot that he was able to win the point. But if you remember, that was something that I told you earlier also, that they have to simply minimize the level of drop shots, because if they're playing more drop shots, they'll simply expect from one another the same thing, that the opponent is going to play a drop at any time, so I have to remain close to the baseline so that I can reach the net also. But yeah, they minimized the drop shots. Yeah, I did notice that Nadal was playing multiple slices. That was happening quite a lot. But give the guy of space the edge. The purpose of slice, you guys would know that also. The purpose of slice is to slow down the game for a while, because the slice or the spinning ball, when you slice it, takes time to go back, cross the net, and bounce towards the opponent's side, and then he gets the chance to return it back at full pace. But while it's gliding through the surface, gliding across the net, so that gives you basically a chance to settle down, have some rest, and then return back, regain your balance so that you can get ready for the next point that is coming your way. So that was the purpose. That is how he was regaining his energy. That is how he was saving some energy inside him. That's how he was able to play till the fifth set. Otherwise, he would have simply gone for each and every point, hitting aggressive, in a similar way as I was watching some of his matches that he played with Federer, semi-finals 2012, 2014, 2009 finals. So like at that time he was young, he was in his 20s, so he would run for every point, right, left, front, back, and he would simply play, especially the 2014 one. If you have time, if you can search it out, just type Federer versus Nadal Australian Open semi-final 2014. So in that match, the both guys were basically playing so aggressively, and I could see how much topspin he's trying to generate on each and every ball against Federer. But that wasn't the case. We talk about this match. He was, saving the energy. Yeah, he would simply hit some important points, but he would know when to apply strength. Those were some specific moments in which we could hear that noise or that sound as well that Nadal makes when he simply puts all the energy to generate that topspin. But that certainly happened. We really enjoyed it. And at the end of the game, even Medvedev was unable to handle the pressure that was simply imposed on him by Nadal, by his experience, strength, endurance, and commitment. He was committed, and if we simply listen to all the press conferences that they had, he was saying that I knew, okay, I have to put in everything. And the basic thing, the life lessons basically that I wanted to share with you guys also was, both guys taught us something. Yeah, one had a little disappointing ending, especially referring to Medvedev's press conference, but I'll come to that a little later. So keep watching, of course. But if we talk about Nadal's press conference, he mentioned something. And he said that I told myself while playing in the match that you had your chances earlier back in 2012 or 2014. And he went to the final and he lost the final, unfortunately. So this is another opportunity. And if you remember, I'm missing 2017, in which Federer and Nadal had the final and Federer won it in fifth set. So the point is, Nadal recalled everything and he told himself that once again you have an opportunity, you never know whether you'll get it or not, so give your best shot. And that was something that kept him alive, gave him the energy to fight in the last point, and that is how he simply placed so much pressure that even Danny Medvedev simply got surprised that, am I really going to do it, or is this guy simply going to take over me? And that is something that happened, which is why, coming and referring back to Medvedev's conference, he was, sharing the dream of a little boy who started growing up and had dreams to play in front of a big crowd and playing against the big guys, that he started doing also. came up in the rankings. Like I started to see his game also, and I realized I started to hear good stuff from my friends also. That have you seen Danny Medvedev's game? He really knows how to play. He puts so much pressure. His style looks a little bit unconventional, but when it comes to generating topspin and accuracy and precision of playing against the big players, he puts so much pressure and he has such a nice game and control over the ball. So then I started following him and I realized, yeah, this guy can be a world number one, not just world number one, he's going to win so many Grand Slams. And then he started proving it also. Like if you talk about last year, the way he simply played against Djokovic in Australian Open final. So even if he lost it, that doesn't matter. But he reached the final, had an experience of playing the world number one, and the worst, what is the worst thing that could happen? You reaching the final, you see yourself so close to the trophy and then you lose it. So that's the worst thing and the worst nightmare that you can ever have in your dreams. And that is something that happened with him. But he was able to cope up with it. If we talk about the US Open final, where once again the same guy was playing against him, the world number one, the toughest player, and he was also, going for the 21st Grand Slam. And he was able to, cope up with that big pressure and he won his first Grand Slam. So if that guy can do the same thing, it was quite possible that the history can repeat itself even in Australian Open also. So I would say the same thing. Yeah, right now it's that pressure of losing such a big match at a big moment, which is why he's saying the dreams are over. And to a certain extent, I would say that the crowd pressure was there also on him, because I could hear all the boos coming from the crowd. Like he had less supporters compared to Nadal, of course, playing for so many years. So he had, of course, a big following, so many fans. But Medvedev has to build that companionship with the crowd. It will take some time, but crowd is giving him a tough time for now. So if he can cope up with that, he certainly is going to have a big circle of followers worldwide. But that'll take some time. But for that, one thing, like if he can listen to or if he can watch this video at any time, or if any one of you can share it to that extent that it can reach to him, my message, or any one of yours message should be: never stop dreaming, never stop believing. Because if you stop dreaming, then there won't be any destiny for you. If you are dreaming, that means that you have a destination within your mind where you want to reach. And then you're going to simply plan a way to be able to reach to that destination. So he should never stop dreaming and he should never stop believing in himself. Only then he would be able to continue with the same strength in which he's playing right now. And I am surely going to say this, that he is going to be the future world number one. He is such a lethal player. I have seen Tsitsipas' game, I have seen Zverev's game. I know how competitive and good players these all guys are. The next gen, Alcaraz even is such a nice player. But for now, talking about the consistency that I've seen among these next gen players, Medvedev has simply impressed me. And I would simply say that if he simply continues to dream in a similar way as he is, he's going to give such a tough time to all the other players. Be they young or old, experienced or not, he certainly can prove himself to be the next world number one, and I can anticipate that he's going to win Grand Slams. So if there is some tournament happening in Russia, we will never stop him to play something for his fans there in the country, but he should never stop believing and should certainly participate in these big tournaments, because he can certainly give a very tough time to all the other opponents that are coming in these big circles from all around the world. So those are some of the things that I had to say. Yeah, I had a few points in mind, but most of the stuff was there already within my mind, so I thought I can then share it with you guys also. Let me see if I have missed something. Yeah, most of the stuff I've already covered, and yeah, there is nothing else. I jotted a few things down so that I did not miss out anything while sharing it with you guys. Hopefully you liked it. So I had a few things in mind, like I should give you some lessons for life. that we could learn, or that is something that I always try to learn and implement and apply within my own life. I just not watch tennis for entertainment, I apply it for life. I try to take some life lessons that we could simply apply to make our own lives better, and hopefully you like that idea also. So if you like it, you can really give me a thumbs up also. And if you like to add something more into it, I would be so much happy to see your comments also. If you like it, you can also share it also. And for more updates, you can also hit the bell icon. And until the next time, take good care of yourself and see you in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.